ローラ・クリスカと申します。よろしくお願いいたします。今日出席してくれて本当にありがとうございました。私は実は日本に生まれました。親は宣教師でしたからです。えー私の母と父は日本の、生活とても大好き。実は今日、私のお母さんとお父さんは出席している予定です。Hi, Mom and Dad. 私は2歳の時、アメリカに戻りました。それから、オハイオ州で育ちました。大学の時に1年間、早稲田大学留学することをしました。その時、もちろん日本語を勉強したり、クラブ活動もやりました。私は早稲田の柔道部のメンバーでございました。その後、本田県で働きました。これは、総一郎本田さんでございます。本田5年間の体験について、The Accidental Office Lady という本を書きました。その後、異文化トレーニング、30年間、4大陸で、いろんな会社で異文化トレーニングを行いました。21あ20 18年にニューヨークで、TEDx トークを行いました。で、そのトピックは、異文化の違い、Us versus Them。で、3年前、新しい本、The Business of We を出版しました。そう、これから簡単な、ビデオストーリーを、皆さんに知らせたいと思います。よろしいでしょうか。Just a moment, please. はい。Sorry, one moment, please. Okay. はい。これから、3分のビデオストーリーを、シェアしたいんです。Do you sometimes struggle with English? My name is Laura Crisco. I've spent 30 years working on 4 continents to support Japanese expatriates. Today, I'd like to share the number one secret to help you have successful communication with local staff. But first, I'd like to tell you a story. 大学の時に1年間、早稲田大学留学することをしました。I was an exchange student to Waseda University for 1 year in college. I studied Japanese and Japanese culture. During that time, a very close Japanese friend gave me a necklace. She engraved my name on the necklace. Do you notice something about this necklace? The spelling of my name was incorrect. The engraving was not perfect. But her intention to communicate with me was 100% clear. Her imperfect effort made our bond stronger. The number one secret that you can start using today: use imperfect English. You have already studied English for many years. Now is the time to start speaking imperfect English frequently. I was just like you. My first job was working for Honda Motor Company in Japan. I spoke Japanese every day, and it was not perfect. I continued to look for opportunities to use imperfect Japanese. That helped me build my language skills, and it helped me build relationships. Proficiency in English alone will not help you be successful. Frequency of using English will help you develop skills, confidence, and relationships that will give you the success you want. Please remember, you do not need perfect English. Your imperfect effort is the secret. 皆さんどうですか？英語、不完全な英語を使うことをしますか？ So my Japanese is imperfect. So I today will use some technology. 自動翻訳、皆さんはできます。Zoom Tuber で CC を見てください。Right here, CC. If you select translation and turn it on, you should be able to see real-time translation in the Zoom. So please take a moment to turn on the translation now. Also, today, if you would like to make a comment or ask a question, please use the chat function. You can write in Japanese or in English. Finally, at the end of the webinar, I have a special offer for each of you. Don't worry, it's not a sales offer. So in my 30-year career, I have worked with thousands of Japanese professionals. And most of them feel some discomfort when they are speaking English. I understand that feeling because I was like you. When I started working in Japan, my Japanese was not very good. Maybe my Japanese sounds okay, but my vocabulary and grammar are not good. I believe that if I took a test, your score in English would be much higher than my score in Japanese. But I am comfortable speaking imperfect Japanese. I do not expect to have perfect Japanese. Also, I use technology. Technology advances are available today. For example, the Zoom 翻訳, 自動翻訳 that you can use right now. So I do understand many Japanese professionals are hesitant to speak in English. Also, if you are working overseas, you may be working in a hybrid schedule, so there's some stress to that. Also, if you're working in the United States, there are legal concerns about communication with local staff. In fact, in New York last year, there was a big $10 million lawsuit against 3 Japanese expatriates at Mizuho Bank And part of the lawsuit demonstrates that communication problems contributed to this lawsuit. So if you want to avoid misunderstandings and improve collaboration with local staff, as well as build trust, you're in the right place. Today, I'm going to share the top strategies that have helped many, many other people who were in a similar situation to you. There are 4 strategies that I want to share today. These are the 4 strategies. All of them have some action that you can take immediately. The first is a strategic self-introduction. The word strategic is important. I know you are able to do a self-introduction, but I will teach you how to give a strategic self-introduction that helps you start a conversation and connect with people you are meeting for the first time. Number 2, I wonder, are you making a mistake that many people make when they give their introduction in English? I'm going to help you avoid this common mistake. 3 is a lesson from cognitive behavioral therapy that I have used myself as well as many others. And finally, 1 message every Japanese professional must master and use every day. So let's get started. First, a self-introduction. Everyone knows how to introduce themselves. You say your name, where you work, maybe something about your job. But these 3 pieces of information are not adequate to connect with non-Japanese speaking people. What's very important is step 4. Appeal to other people by sharing 1 appropriate detail about yourself that will encourage communication. So step 4 is specifically developed before you have a self-introduction. So today we will practice it together. But the goal is to say something true and interesting about yourself that helps you connect with other people. Let me give you a real example. So here is a person who can introduce himself. And he says, "Hello, my name is Takeshi Ida. Please call me Take. I work in the IT department. 10 years ago, I worked in the Houston office." Okay, so all of that information is good and fine, but it's not enough to make a connection. To connect, you need to say point 4. Okay, so in this case, something you may not know about me is that in college, I was captain of the golf team. If anyone would like to play golf sometime, please let me know. Please let me know. That is an invitation to communicate and perhaps even play golf together. Here's one more example. I used to play piano and I like to listen to live music. If you know any good concerts in the area, please let me know. Again, telling something about yourself that encourages communication is an important 4th step. Some safe topics to discuss are things like your hobbies, life experience, and geographical location. So if, for example, you could say, "I used to play basketball. Do you follow any NBA professional teams?" Or, "My family got a dog. Do you have any pets?" it's really nice in a self-introduction if you can have some type of picture to share. A picture is very useful when people do not speak the same language. And then finally, something about the local area. For example, I've just moved to Houston. What's fun to do here? Or what do you suggest that I do now that I'm living in Houston? So let's practice, everyone. So let's practice number 4, just number 4. Using the chat function, I invite everyone to write a sentence in English. 不完全でいいです. It does not have to be perfect English. So I'd like you to think about yourself and write one sentence for step 4, for only step 4. So I will monitor the chat and also give you some examples. So please take a moment now using the chat function. You don't need to use your name. You don't need to show your face, but I do want to challenge you right now. Think about one detail about yourself and how you could use that to encourage a communication or connection with a non-Japanese speaking person. Okay, so I'm seeing some interesting examples. I will share one example that someone has written. So someone wrote, "You probably wouldn't think so by looking at me, but I played rugby in college." So maybe if someone was saying this, they could ask, continue to communicate, have you ever played rugby? Or do you know any places where I could play rugby? Another example would be something like this. I like to play tennis. Do you know any tennis clubs around here? So asking a question like this is the connection point. So I see some other examples coming in. Thank you, everybody, for writing. I don't have time to use all of them, but I'm going to share one more excellent example that someone has written into the chat. So let me put it here so everyone can see this excellent example. So someone wrote, I like skiing with my son. So if someone likes skiing as well, let's go together. That's great. Those kind of connection points will help you feel more confident when you are communicating in English. I do want to say a little bit of a warning. When you are doing a self-introduction or early in a relationship, it is important to be careful of some topics, especially if you are living and working in the United States. So the topics to avoid are things about someone's personal life. For example, do not ask, how old are you? Do not ask, are you married? Those are considered too personal and could be misunderstood. Questions about religion and politics, relationships, especially about someone's appearance, these kind of questions should never be asked, especially in a first introduction. So final tips for thinking about your self-introduction and your first impression. Speak clearly. Imperfect English is okay. Don't hesitate. Repeat the other person's name as you talk. So, for example, if you met me and we were talking, and then you could ask me a question. For example, Laura, may I ask, how long have you lived in New York? Or Laura, do you have any pets? So using the other person's name, repeating it, is helpful for your memory, but also it's good for the connection because people like to hear their own names. And then finally, preparing some kind of small talk, as we just did, but preparing that in advance so that you can feel comfortable during your self-introduction. Okay, I'm looking into the chat. There are some very nice comments. These are very good. I wish I had more time to comment on all of them, but thank you everybody for contributing. Let's move on to point number 2. Here's the question. Are you ruining your first impression with this one mistake? I see many Japanese people making this mistake. And they may have perfect English, and they still make this mistake. Being nervous and anxious when they talk. This will disrupt your communication. Harvard Business Review says that when you're making your first impression, you should be relaxed, confident, and comfortable. You, the speaker, should be relaxed, confident, and comfortable. Are you relaxed, confident, and comfortable when you are speaking English and making an introduction? It's okay if you're not, but when you're making that first impression, I've noticed many Japanese colleagues feel nervous. Their faces are very tight and maybe their shoulders are up. So I can see that they are nervous. Sometimes people look away. If you are nervous, the listener will not be comfortable. So you need to become relaxed and comfortable when you are making your introduction. And this could be hard, but I have a solution. This solution has helped many people, and you can do this today. It's your homework. The solution is to use your phone. I think everybody here has a phone. So use your phone and record yourself doing a self-introduction in English. Okay? Use your phone and record yourself in English. Then watch the video. Maybe it's a little bit painful, but you will learn something important. You will learn how other people view you. So I think if you watch yourself, you can understand if you are nervous or anxious. So continuing to practice that will help you build confidence and be more relaxed. So if you follow these 4 steps, of course, your name, your work, something about your job, but especially point 4, those are the 4 basic steps for your self-introduction. Oh, and one more thing. Don't forget to delete the video after you've watched it. Okay, we're going to move to step 3. This is a strategy that many Japanese colleagues have used, I have also used this to develop some comfort. So cognitive behavioral therapy involves many things, but one is called exposure therapy. It means doing something that feels uncomfortable. But as you do this thing repeatedly, your comfort will increase and your anxiety will decrease. So using this concept from cognitive behavioral therapy, the number one thing you can do is to join some group that is an English-speaking group, English only, where you are the only Japanese-speaking person. Ideally, you are choosing a group based on an activity that you like, something like wine tasting, hiking, or soccer. So again, the important parts of joining a group are that you are the only Japanese-speaking person, that it's some activity that you actually enjoy, and also that it has regular meetings, for example, weekly gatherings. I used this strategy to become comfortable speaking in Japanese. First, it was in the judo team. Then it was in a job in Japan with the welcome ladies, and then another job in Honda Motor Company. So I was using Japanese every day, but more than using Japanese at work, I was building relationships with my colleagues. So having face-to-face interactions of increasing depth is the path toward building trust. This is true for any human, not just across language differences, but especially when there is a language or culture difference. We need to seek out opportunities to interact with people. We start with simple things like the self-introduction. Of course, learning people's names is very important. For those of you working in an organization with many non-Japanese staff, I have a question for you. How many names of your non-Japanese colleagues do you know? How many people could you look at and greet by name? Due to hybrid work, many of us do not know as many names as we did before the corona pandemic. So learning people's names is another very useful strategy. But this is just the beginning, learning names and greeting people. Then trying to use small talk to build up your connection. Next would be having coffee or lunch with a small group of people. And eventually socializing. These are the ways anyone can learn to build trust with others, and it will improve your confidence to speak English, and you will feel much more relaxed. So here are some real examples if you are interested in trying this strategy. So volunteer activities in the community can be a very safe way to meet total strangers. If you are doing volunteer work, usually it's out in public, and generally speaking, people who do volunteer work tend to be quite friendly and open. Not everybody, but it's a tendency. If you like music, if you have some talents playing an instrument, there are many amateur groups, amateur orchestra or choirs. Sports is another good example. So if you already play a sport, you can find groups in your current neighborhood that play that sport and they speak English, or even paying for golf lessons or some type of class in English. It's much more important to pay for a group where you are using English rather than only study English in a course. I think you probably have done a lot of English study already in your life. So using English on a regular basis outside of work is one of the most effective ways to build your confidence. So let me tell you a true story. About 10 years ago, here in New York, there was a Japanese woman who came to work in a large Japanese shosha, big company. And she was alone, and she worked many, many hours. And she wanted to make friends. She wanted to build a community here in New York. She is a violin player. So she researched a volunteer orchestra here in New York. There are several volunteer orchestras here in New York. And she joined this orchestra. And it became a very important activity in her life. And she made many friends and enjoyed many activities, playing music, and her English skills improved. She did not study any more English. She simply used English more with her orchestra group. And she still keeps in touch with some of these friends today, even 10 years later, and she is back in Japan. So if you are living in a city, you can simply use the internet. For example, Houston Basketball Leagues for Adults. You can write the name of your city and your topic of interest. So I tried this earlier today, and many choices came up. So this was just one example, how to join a league. The best way is to do some research, but then ask a local colleague for help. Tell someone that you are interested to play basketball or learn to cook or whatever it is that you would be interested in. And I believe the local people are in a good position to give you advice. Some of you here today on the call are in Japan. So even in Japan, you can find many English speakers, people who would like to speak English with you. Again, I did a quick search today, and there were several groups. And this group in particular, Coffee, Tea, Surfing in Tokyo, has 17,000 members. It's a public group, 17,000 members. So I know that taking this kind of action can feel very uncomfortable. Maybe you would not want to try this. Maybe it feels more comfortable to study more English, to spend time with a textbook or memorizing vocabulary words. It's good to learn vocabulary words, but it's not going to help you build relationships. It's not going to help you build trust in the workplace. In order to build trust and build relationships, you have to meet people face to face. And even though that might feel uncomfortable, I hope you will strongly, strongly consider taking this action. Often there is zero cost to join a basketball league or to be in an orchestra, zero cost, but the benefits are very valuable to you. Okay, we're getting to number 4, the 4th strategy. But before we do that, I have a very quick Zoom poll I'd like to share with everybody. It's just five questions. Let's see. So on your screen, you should be able to see 5 questions. Your answers are anonymous. So please take a moment to answer the questions. Okay, about 1 more minute if you would like to complete the questions. Thank you to everybody who has completed the questions. As we are waiting, I want to share one more great example that someone added in the chat. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. Thank you, everybody, for completing it. Okay, so you can see the one more person added this as an example of good small talk. So this person wrote, my hobby is diving, so I'm looking forward to going to the Caribbean. If you have any recommended countries, actually it got broken off, countries or beaches, please let me know. It said countries or beaches. That's terrific. Just great. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's continue. So this is the last message I have to share with everyone. It's one message that every Japanese professional must master. And the message is to communicate to others that you are there to help, to support, to make the organization successful. There are 3 examples I'd like to share of ways you could do this. So these sentences you could say to your colleagues. Your colleagues might be working in the next desk to you, or they might be working in a different country. So the first sentence is, I am committed to our success, right here, our success. I am committed to our success. How can I support you? This is a really good question, especially if you are working with subordinate colleagues. For example, in the United States, if you have an assistant or colleagues who work for you, asking them this question shows them that you are paying attention and that you care. And finally, the golden question or the golden statement is this: I want you to be successful. I want you to be successful. This is a very simple sentence, but it has great power. You could use these 2 sentences together. You can say, how can I support you? Because I want you to be successful. For people that I work with, these phrases are golden phrases. I hope that you can use them as much as possible in your daily work life. If anybody has questions or comments that you would like me to comment on, please put them into the chat, because we are soon wrapping up our webinar today. But first, I want to share the bonus offer for anybody here today, 2 minutes that can change your career. Mastering your self-introduction. So my offer for everybody here is that you will record yourself, as I suggested, using your phone. Record yourself and send me under 2-minute video. I will provide a confidential and honest feedback to you. No one else will see it. It's totally confidential, and I will be honest. I will tell you my impression of your introduction. Please do this by April 30th, and I will provide that feedback. You can send it to the email address that you have been receiving emails from for this webinar. So please use that email address and record your self-introduction in English, especially including step 4, something personal about yourself that will encourage future communication. So I believe many of you are hearing this offer, but you might feel shy. And you might think, "Ooh, I don't want to do that," or "That sounds a little scary." So I think it's time for a little inspiration from Otani-san. I believe many of you know and follow Shohei Otani, as I do. It's great to watch him. So in about 1 year ago, there was a very inspirational moment that I watched on television. Maybe some of you are also watching this. March 2023, the World Baseball Classic. It's the semifinals, Mexico versus Japan. It's the 9th inning, almost to the end of the game. And Mexico has 5, Japan has 4. Shohei Otani is at the plate. He's about to hit the ball, or try to hit the ball. So I'm going to play a very short video clip of that moment, because there is a very important lesson for all of us in this moment. So please watch his reaction to the crowd, okay? So let me share the clip. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, the score right here, the score 5-4, the 9th inning, 0 outs. Shohei Otani is at the plate. Okay, so let me play this for you now.
That's what you're used to doing. It is beautiful in a sport where you can't guarantee that the best player has the ball in his hands in the biggest moments. This right here, a gift. Shohei Otani, tying run at the plate in the 9th, and he starts it with a base hit to right center. All the way to the base of the track, and Otani's got a double. Tying run in scoring position just like that.
これ見てください。
Couple bounces away from being a triple. Otani can fly. They did a good job cutting it off. They were playing deep as it was. He just takes the pitch and goes right away. He's got at least 2.
これ。That moment, he is cheering his team. Probably he never behaved that way in Japan. I think all of us know that behavior would not be demonstrated in Japan. He did that behavior in a global environment. It's something new. It's something different. So whether you are a baseball player or a business person or a spouse of someone living in the United States, it's time to try something new. Please consider the strategies that I've talked about today, and please take a recording of yourself. Do it right now after this webinar is finished. You get your phone, record your self-introduction, and email it to me, and I will provide you feedback, honest, confidential feedback. I believe that you can quickly build your confidence and comfort speaking imperfect English. And this will help you. It will help you in business. It will help you in your communities. And it will help you build relationships that will enrich your professional and personal lives. So if anybody has questions, you can put them into the chat and I will comment. But my final thought for all of you is to say thank you so much for joining me today. And I want you to be successful. Thank you, everyone.